Welcome to part two of my week in review for Trump-Russia news for late November, early December 2018. So in part two, I want to talk a little bit about Paul Manafort. He was the campaign manager for Donald Trump. And on the 26th of November, the Washington Post, via Sue, Weiner, and Barrett, posted an article. Mueller says Manafort lied after pleading guilty and that he should be sentenced immediately. So Manafort is breaking his previous plea deal here with Mueller, where he was pleading that he would cooperate so that he would get, a lighter sentence. And the issue at hand, as I stated, was lies. Apparently, the prosecutors believe they have proof that Manafort was lying to them. And something interesting is that this was posted on November 26th. Trump had given his written answers to Robert Mueller's questions on November 20th. So with Manafort, it looks like lying to prosecutors. Did the president lie to prosecutors also? I should mention this is not Manafort's first rodeo in terms of breaking terms of deals that he's made with Mueller. He has done it before. He tried to write an anonymous op-ed defending himself when he was on house arrest, and he's pretty much put up barriers to cooperation almost anywhere he could. So it ended up that it was suggested, as stated in the headline that I read, that he is sentenced as soon as possible, and they want to sentence him on charges of cheating the IRS, violating foreign lobbying laws, which he did when he lobbied for a pro-Putin, pro-Russia president in Ukraine, as well as attempting to obstruct justice. Then on November 27th, Tuesday of last week, The Guardian, a British newspaper, they come out with a blockbuster story. Manafort held secret talks with Assange in an Ecuadorian embassy. So there is this report that comes out that Mr. Manafort met with WikiLeaks' Julian Assange in London in the Ecuadorian embassy between 2013 and 2016. For those of you that don't know, Julian Assange is in the Ecuadorian embassy in England because he can't travel freely without being extradited to the United States. So originally, this bombshell that Manafort and Assange had secret talks was reported by The Guardian, but I, myself, and many that I saw on different social media outlets were sort of skeptical at first and wanted to wait to see if other major outlets picked this information up. It appears that they did. So the question here is, and it sort of relates to part one of my video, is the question that could Manafort be one of many go-betweens for WikiLeaks and Assange between the Trump campaign and Russia? We have to remember that Manafort was at the Trump Tower meeting where the Russian government representatives explicitly offered dirt on Hillary Clinton. And he also used to be a lobbyist with Roger Stone. They had a firm in the 1980s where they represented all sorts of dictators and really terrible strongmen all over the world. And so from part one, you'll remember that Roger Stone is trying to fight all these different charges that he was communicating with WikiLeaks to disseminate stolen information that Robert Mueller has previously concluded was hacked initially by the Russian military intelligence agency, the GRU. So, the Ecuadorian embassy, that in their sign-in sheet, apparently, someone by the name of Paul Manafort, the name is spelled with a D instead of a T at the end, but one can assume that it's Paul Manafort, is listed as one of Assange's guests, where he's holed up in London. So this is simply one of many Trump-Russia connections with WikiLeaks serving as an intermediary um, in order to further collusion, better known as legally known as conspiracy. The last thing that happened with Manafort, I'll cite a New York Times article from Tuesday, November 27th by Schmidt, Lafreniere, and Haberman. And it revealed that Manafort's lawyers had repeatedly briefed Trump's lawyers on the Mueller probe, even after he had entered a plea deal to cooperate fully and truthfully. And this is sort of unusual based on what legal analysts are saying. And it gave Trump and his legal team a window into the investigation into him based on conversation Mueller had based on conversation that Manafort had with Mueller's team. Again, some legal experts said this seemed unusual and like an individual who was desperately angling for a pardon. Please stay tuned for part 3 of this week in review, where I'll talk about probably the most substantial developments involving former personal attorney to Donald Trump, Michael Cohen.